Okay, I have located them. I see them.
Two JPG images in there. And then on top of the JPG images is that 143-page book about banking, the legalized crime of banking.
Yeah, that's from Adams, right?
Yes, Adams, yes.
Oh, that's cool. That's 454 kilobytes.
Yep, something like that. Okay, so some people are ready to go to Emancipation. I've got mine ready. Let's see if there's any.
You're not a freed man yet?
No. This Skype crap has kept me too busy. I finally got it straightened out yesterday.
Well, I haven't heard anything from any police department, state police, or federal agents.
You sent yours in?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'm talking about that other thing. Yeah, on the other thing I told you about, I haven't heard anything yet. It's been well, I sent it out. I sent that January 21st, so it's still kind of early, right? January 21st.
Okay. Right.
You agree with that? It's too early to expect anything yet?
Well, we don't know how long it's going to take. You know, Patrick came to when we sent the stuff into the Philadelphia. It turned out it might take, even though we said 5 banking days, it might take them 30 days to wrap their heads around it.
Okay, I'm on the line.
Hi, Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
Okay, most of the stuff that we sent in, okay, we need to take it into a court action. The court action, basically, even though we sent it into the federal district court or to the senior judges in the federal district court, basically, it's not going to be fully settled. It's got to go into a U.S. bankruptcy court. That's where you have to do your filing in. And in all courts in this country since 1938, we have been, well, even before that, we were operating under British court laws, okay? Because basically the United States Corporation was founded in 1871, this copyrighted United States Corporation that is over the bankrupt United States, and it was brought in by the northern states after the Civil War because of the bankruptcy of the northern states. They were bankrupt to England. England was the supporter of the northern states. The Church of Rome was the supporter of the southern states in the Civil War. And basically the monarchy out of England basically has taken jurisdictional control over the court system in this country under the Anglican Church system, the religion side of the matter. There's 2 items basically, and this we're operating under the penal court system that basically the English monarchy and England and all the monarchies out of Europe were operating under was the penal law system. So that's why we have now become a penal colony to England in the process, in bankruptcy. And they have 2 items there. 1896, a Judicial Trustees Act. And also, in 1906, the Public Trustee Act of 1906. Both of those come out of English law. Okay? They're not in the American law system. And then most all of these other laws out here are bogus laws for the corporations. So the court system is really founded on the English penal law system. Now, you go into court. You have a public defender. Take the public defender and assign your slave over to him. Now he becomes the public trustee in that court action. He has to bring it into settlement. If you have traffic tickets, you basically get the driver's license and the traffic tickets over to the public defender. He now becomes the public trustee in that court to bring it into settlement. On the other side, the prosecutor is acting as the judicial trustee in that court. So you've got two trustees in that court. And then the judge is just an administrator, a mediator in the court system. But you do not reject you don't get your own attorney. You get a public defender because you're basically insolvent. Okay? All your funds are being held by your bankrupt slaves. Now you turn your slaves over to the public defender, or now public trustee, and he has to bring them into settlement for your benefit. That's been the problem out here. People think that we're operating under a completely different judicial system, and we're not. We're operating under this English judicial system, which is not the constitutional judicial system that was set up. You can stymie them by making by doing a declaratory action in the process that you're operating under the de jure court system of the country. But the one that you're seeing out here and all actions out here, if there's no harm or damage done, it's under this bankruptcy English court system. That's what was brought into play in 1938. Not under a statute, but basically under the controls of the president, who's acting as the president of the church, the United States copyrighted governmental church. Now, the same thing holds when we go to the bankruptcy court. We have to basically do an emancipation, or the other word in the process in English law is basically a manumission. Mm-hmm. Liberation from a condition of servitude by the voluntary act of the master. So you liberate your slaves by your action, by your voluntary act. Because you're the master, you're a slave owner of those slaves. You turn them over to the trustee, to the clerk of the court, to the chief judge, and to the trustee, U.S. trustee, in bankruptcy. One form you will probably use is going to be the B, and basically they changed all the bankruptcy forms, and they went into effect in January or December 1st of last year. Mm-hmm. The form that you would be using is a B20A form, notice of motion or objection.
It's a B20A.
You would have to make that up. You'd have to make that up yourself, okay? You're going to have to start thinking about some of this shit. How do you want to put it in? You're putting it in as basically your declaration, your...
Tomorrow as well. I don't know if he has any order. I can check.
Basically, your resolution, okay, to declare in common parlance, to state, to assert, to publish, to utter, to announce clearly some opinion or resolution. Resolution, an expression of the opinion or mind, requiring no set form of words. I tell you, people, you need to study the words, the dictionaries. You'll learn a hell of a lot more there than any place else. Because until you know the words, you won't know shit. Now, there will be no filing fee in this because this emancipation that we're doing is based upon the Emancipation Proclamation, which was an executive order by Abraham Lincoln. Therefore, it falls under the United States executive branch agencies should not be charged fees under this schedule. If you look at the bankruptcy fee schedule. Also, if there's a motion for relief from stay, basically there's no fees for a motion for relief from co-debtor stay. No fee for a due if a stipulation for relief is filed. You're filing the stipulation of relief, so there's not going to be any fees for filing this. And you're basically turning your slaves over to the bankruptcy court, and basically I've got confirmation that this is the way to go by talking to one guy, and he didn't know how damn close he was getting out of the system, just like I was back in 2005 when I was in bankruptcy. All I needed to do was turn my slaves over to the trustee, to the U.S. trustee. Say, here, you've got them. I'm out of here. That I'm the creditor in the process, so you give me all of my credits that are due to me. You got 3 days to get this accomplished. Death and resurrection. One of the guys basically was in there in bankruptcy. He did a couple things. The U.S. trustee told him, hey, you got more bills or anything? Give them to me. But he didn't know what to do, so he walked out there and he turned around and reclaimed his slave. That's what happens in most cases. They get you to reclaim your slave. You may have done something right. You didn't see it. It gets settled, and then all of a sudden, you're the owner of that slave again. So you're right back into their system. I'm going to be coming off of everything off of Skype. I'll probably just keep in touch with Tom to give him some of the files to post onto the e-concurrent or to the We the People site. As much communication is going on that Skype group, you guys have, if you're signed up to the We the People group, you've got the damn thing there. You can post messages there. Why do you need Skype? And you're starting to find out it's a pain in the ass. And then all the time you're playing around with it, you're not learning the goddamn thing. So what good is it doing you? Not a damn bit. So you need to put in a resolution or this action into the clerk of the court. You CC the chief judge or the bankruptcy judge that's in your district. I have 2 bankruptcy judges. One, now I come to find out one of them is the chief judge in there. Both of them are females. Well, that correlates to the bitch in England, the Queen of England. Females trying to run the damn thing. Totally in total violation of the Bible. But most people don't see that. And then see that you're voting for most of the shit that under the English penal colony system. All these codes and everything that are out here, they're English penal governmental laws. So you're just voting all over again for the East India Company that basically had charters here in this country. That was kept out of this country until 1871. And then the people didn't have enough common sense. Hell, they didn't have any common sense then anyway. Shit. Going out there and fighting brother against brother in a damn civil war. All for nothing. Just to put the country in debt for the benefit of foreign powers? How ludicrous is that? And what are we doing to this very day? The same damn scenario. You want out of the system? This is the way you need to come out. That you notify those other groups. So don't stop putting those filings out to those other groups that you've emancipated. You're doing a declaration. You declare what you want. And you have to declare your beliefs in the system of what is right and wrong. And they can't go against your beliefs. Daniel proved that. Jesus proved that. Moses proved that. Even as far back as Abraham. Probably all the way back to Cain and Abel. When Cain stood his ground to the bankers. And then he became the bad boy in the process because he didn't go along with the bankers. So he was belittled by the bankers. That's what happens in every case out here. When the bankers come in and start belittling the people, then you better watch out. Now, those people out in Oregon there, basically they put themselves in their own harm's way. They're not out of the system, so they're just revolting, penal people. They're not emancipated. They haven't emancipated their slaves. So they're in violation of the de jure laws of the country anyway. Because if they were doing it right, the FBI would have had to support them. So they're not doing it right. The guys that did the fire, all they needed to do was go into court and get a public defender, because the charges were not against them, it was against their fictions, their banking fictions. Because it was all a bankruptcy action. Everything out here is done in bankruptcy in this country. It's all about banking and bankruptcy. And the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment give you the protections if you know how to look at them and enforce them properly and believe that they are the valid ones and that these others are not valid. You start believing these others are valid, and you're going to go down the hill, over the cliff. So, that's about all I've got to say for tonight. The rest is up to you guys.
I have a question.
Speak up.
I have a question.
Well, ask it.
Okay. Earlier in your great dissertation this evening, I noted that you had stated that the slaves are bankrupt. But I'm confused as to what the Mortmain accounts are, and if they're related to the slave, then how can
they
that
are
be?
The slave? They are Mortmain slaves, devils, DE-VIL. Okay?
Yeah.
Dead
but how could
vessels. Okay, that's what a Mortmain is. It's a dead vessel.
Okay. But it has funds in it, right?
What? Yes, they're holding your credits because you, by your signature, gave a signature letter of credit. So you're the creditor.
I understand that. But how can a dead man in court, bankruptcy court, be in bankruptcy when the Mortmain accounts is full of funds? I'm looking at it logically, like you always say.
Because he can't move the funds. He's dead. He has no hands. He can't do anything. So we have to turn it over to a trustee who can move it. See,
now, is there a public defender in a bankruptcy court?
Yes, that is the U.S. trustee. The judicial trustee is the U.S. attorney.
Okay.
Yes, the U.S. trustee is a public trustee or public defender. See, we don't need any attorneys. We don't need to pay any of these damn attorneys. The trustees can put in their own charges for their trustee services from our accounts. But we turn the accounts over to them. Now they have to basically do the proper trustee, and basically if they violate the trustee laws, then basically they're the ones that are going to jail, not us. We have now have clean hands. Because like Pilate, we washed our hands of the matter. And it has to go through a court because there's going to have to be warrants issued, and only a judge in a court can issue the warrants.
All right, so in the court...
You got to speak up, please.
In the court, emancipation begins with bankruptcy, as I see it.
Everything out here is in bankruptcy, yes. Your Social Security account, your driver's license, your certificate of title to your house, your mortgage contract, they're all bankrupt persons that are holding your assets, your credits.
Right, well, I've been going over the Declaration of Independence the last couple of days, and something's telling me I'm looking right at the remedy, which is the Declaration remedy from British rule, and I think that would apply to this very second. Just remove what they state, put our information in there.
That will put you under the de jure law once you have emancipated your slaves and gotten back under de jure law, because right now you're operating in violation as a criminal outside of the de jure law because you have slaves. You are a slave owner.
Understand that. I have no problem with that. You're right about that.
I know I'm right.
There's no doubt about it.
I'm also arrogant as hell, too.
Well, no, you're not. No, you're not. There's so much falsity out there, but you're doing your best to bring the truth to light. And I just happen to be looking at the Declaration of Independence saying, this is the answer right here. This is the remedy.
It's not the whole remedy, though, okay?
All right.
The Declaration of Independence only got you to one stage of the situation. Okay?
Then what did the country do? What did they do to finish the...
Then we set up a government, a de jure government operating under lawful laws that we the people granted to them from our rights and powers that we had over the government, because the government is just a charter. But they set up a secondary charter, United States, out of England in 1871, which basically became the bankrupt United States Corporation, and that is the one that's in power today, and that is the one that as soon as you started getting EINs and Social Security numbers and bank account numbers and passport numbers and driver's license numbers and everything else, you basically signed over underneath their contract. You contracted to them. Now you have to get rid of those contracts.
That was after the first income tax that came out for corporations. I mean, individuals came out in 1913, 4 years after the corporations began being taxed. Under the
yes,
income
they
tax.
can. How many times have they modified the income tax since the original income tax came about? The original income tax was basically a tariff tax out here. And then basically in 1913, okay, on October 13th of 1913, basically they passed the income tax for the usage of the Federal Reserve monetary banking money, okay? Now, that has been modified several times by updates to the income tax system and the IRS under this English penal law system that's in this country. And you signed over to join up with the English penal law system, governmental law system, when you signed up with Social Security. And when you got a driver's license, and when you got a 9-digit passport number, and when you got a 9-digit title to your property, or a 9-digit title to your vehicle, driver's license. Look how many 9-digit numbers you have. Those are all bank routing numbers. Bankruptcy bank routing numbers.
Well, I've heard that a Social Security number is issued to you when you're born.
In some cases, they are issuing them to when you're born, but they don't go into effect until you turn 18, which is after the age of decision or discretion of 14 years of age.
Right. I was 15 when I saw mine. I was sent a card when I began working at 15.
Yeah, and basically when you did that at 15, then you chose who you wanted your guardian to be, and you said, I want this 1871 corporate English United States governmental system to be my guardian. You didn't know that, but that's what you did.
Oh, dirty scoundrels.
Yes, that's what I tried to explain over the last several calls about the age of discretion, 14. And you did not basically emancipate yourself out away from them as a emancipation as a minor when you turned 21. So you've kept with them in the process. Now all you have to do is basically emancipate, turn all your slaves, your banking slaves, over to the bankruptcy court and get out of the system. Go back to the de jure constitutional United States of America government. But you're not under it, you're over it.
Right. We use your emancipation letter.
You have to use both of them. You have to merge the one that I sent to the Vicar General and also that other one that has all your bankrupt banking slaves.
You know,
because
EIN,
you have
right?
to separate yourself from the church and the state. The English Church and United States. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Patrick, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a first-time caller on this line here. A friend of mine told me about you guys. I got a question for you. This public defender, actually, I've got a federal court case dealing with the IRS, okay, and someone told me about you. So I made this phone call tonight. You were just speaking about the public defender. What is it that I have to do with this public defender to get him to become that trustee?
You basically just turn it to him and say, hey, I'm emancipating my Social Security person over to you. Now you're the charge in that court. They can only charge the fiction. But if you remain the slave owner of that fiction, then you're going to be the one held liable for him.
Okay, now am I doing it?
If you turn that slave fiction over to the bank, to that public defender, he now becomes the public trustee over that Social Security account.
Okay,
he
now,
has to bring it into settlement.
Is this done in open court?
Huh?
Is this
yeah,
done
you can do it in open court however you want to do it.
Okay. Okay, the second question is, a friend of mine that gave me this information in the conference call number was telling me about the birth certificate, presenting the birth certificate in court.
No, you don't surrender the birth certificate. That is your inheritance document against the de jure treasury of the country. Okay, that's lawful money. After you get your Social Security out of the Federal Reserve Bank, the We the People's Reserve Fund, out of there, and so you can turn all your receipts into these public defenders. You turn your driver's license, you turn your traffic tickets over to that public defender. He now becomes the public trustee. Now he has to settle the bonds that you gave as a letter of credit on those traffic tickets, and basically they're called an appearance bond. So the appearance bond turns around and pays for the ticket, and also you walk out of that court with money in your back pocket.
No, I think you misunderstood the question. I was told that you use the baptism certificate. Okay.
That is your claim that you are alive. That's the only living document you have.
Right, and I'm supposed to present that to the judge while in open court?
You can, okay, to show that you're alive, but you need to basically surrender your slave who is in court there over to that public defender, so that public defender can go into that bankrupt bank account and pull the funds out. You can't do it. They're not going to let you.
Okay.
Because they've got to be a mortician to go into that coffin and pull the funds out. That's why it's a Mortmain account. So that public defender is also a mortician, because he's going into a dead man's account. But you can't go there.
Okay,
because you're alive. And you're not even supposed to be in that court. Because you're not the bankrupt. Okay?
Okay, so
you're the creditor.
You're creditor. Right.
Pardon me?
You guys understand this stuff at all?
I do. You're making sense.
You're starting to.
We were so damn close on this all this time. And that's why I've been trying to bring it to a head here the last several calls and everything. And now with this latest thing about seeing how that these courts are really English penal courts, this is a penal colony now. A bankruptcy penal colony. But they had to give us the remedy before they put this into place. That's why they put in the judicial trustee and the public trustee in 1896 and then 1906, prior to us even having the certificate of live birth being presented in 1907. and the marriage certificates in 1911, and several of these other documents out here, and then later on, the driver's license and the passport items. Hell, before that point in time, passports, you used your damn Bible. Your baptismal certificate. All this stuff took time so that people didn't see what was going on. Like a lot of these legislators and senators and everything, basically, yeah, they were in there for this term, but they passed something 3 terms before them, and they don't know what the hell laws were passed then either. So they're voting on something that is entirely different, that's adding to the one that was previously done, that was set over here under a different title in the process. These damn government officials we have are complete nitwits, for the most part. Especially in the legislature and the senators.
So, Tom, are you trying to say that we, the people, made a stupid mistake by allowing a select few of English-educated men to form a federal government?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So we should just get rid of government. Don't do anything.
That will get you in deep trouble, okay?
Well, that's what they
because
did.
You've got to come out of the system. You've got to come out of the system. You just don't destroy the government. The de jure government is still here.
That's what
you have to separate yourself from this other government.
That's what they did with the Declaration of Independence.
No, they didn't. You're not hearing what I'm saying. The Declaration of Independence separated us from England. But they turned around in 1871 and brought another one into this country. They got rid of the East India Company in under the Declaration of Independence. But they turned around and brought another East India Company into this country in 1871, and the people did not understand it, and the people are still signing up with this damn thing.
Right. That's because there was a government. That's the only reason. We entrusted other people that let us down, period. You don't need a government. City-states can function themselves, which they did in history.
They're governments, too.
Well, governments are supposed to just protect the borders and charge tariffs, taxes, and promote the general welfare and protect the domestic tranquility. Those things aren't being done very well, as you can see.
Then we get rid of them.
No, you have to make...
You can only get rid of them. Will you listen to me? You can only get rid of them individually. You signed up individually. You have to do it individually and come out away from them. You have to do your emancipation and turn all your banking slaves into the bankruptcy court. Then you will go back and tie yourself back to the lawful United States of America government and have your full protections per the Bill of Rights enforced by the de jure government at that point in time.
Well, I'm tired of seeing my tax money paying off the interest for this country. It's stupid.
Your tax money ain't paying off shit.
That's what it does. It pays the interest.
It don't pay shit.
Darn road.
It goes to the Queen of England and the governor, the Board of Governors, to the Federal Reserve. That's all it goes.
It goes to the Rothschilds and the bankers.
Yeah.
That's the
and
interest.
basically it's fraudulent because they never fucking loaned us shit to begin with.
What? Oh, I forgive you for being in the Army. I apologize.
The government, these bankers, they never risk one penny of their own. So where are they getting the money from? They're basically hoodwinking the people into giving the money to them. Now, you've got to get your credits back out of their hands and stop them in their tracks. And that has to be done individually. That's why it's going to be so damn hard in the process. You can go and read the book of Daniel and see that basically that's what was going on with Daniel. If you know how to read between the lines. I've said for years that that Bible is nothing but a set of banking laws, just and unjust banking laws. And the problem is that 99% of the people in this country don't know shit about banking. Any other questions? Okay, good night, Tom.
Thank you, Patrick.
Patrick, I got a question. Patrick.
Yes.
Patrick, I got a couple questions for you. So with your Emancipation Proclamation, where we're putting our EINs and all our 9-digit numbers, would in the middle paragraph where we're saying that the new mailing addresses, and you have the Philadelphia Financial Center.
You can take all those out, okay? Please, people, would you listen to me on this one? Okay? I put examples up there. You do not, if you don't have something on there, then you don't use it.
Right.
Those are just examples, okay? You have to turn around and reword these into your own beliefs and understandings.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to do. I was seeing if the bankruptcy court would fit into that category, correct?
You could put it in there, but you could leave it out, and you're going to put a cover letter in there going into the bankruptcy clerk of the court.
Okay.
And you're coming in under basically a requirement of the United States Executive Branch order, Emancipation Proclamation order, to fulfill the law by emancipating your or manumission of your banking slaves. And you're turning them over to the trustee, to the judicial, and to the public trustees in that bankruptcy court. Now, the trustees have to bring those into settlement and give back to the creditor, who is you, the living, your just credits.
Right, that's what you said. Is the Vicar General the only one that can receive a certified copy, a sealed copy of your baptismal certificate, or is there anyone else?
I didn't quite hear that.
I said, is the Vicar General, is he the only one that's going to receive your sealed certified copy of your baptismal certificate? Or is there anyone else that receives one?
I sent one up to the superior judge or to the senior judges in my federal district court.
Okay.
I still got an extra one on hand. I can always go get some more.
Yeah, I've got two, but I can get some more too. Are the signatures on these emancipations, does it matter the color, blue or red?
I would sign them in blue. Put your thumbprint or fingerprints, your right and left index fingerprints as your boundary markers in red, and then crunch them by with an embosser. And it doesn't make any difference what type of embosser you have.
I got my embosser on Friday, so I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, your Iowa health care letter, we're kind of replacing that with the bankruptcy court then.
That's going to have to go into the bankruptcy court. All my IRS charges and everything else, all my receipts and everything are all going to have to go into the bankruptcy court to that trustee now. After I give him notification that he now is the one that's sitting over all those bankrupt persons.
Okay. So we're actually going to have to go into court for that then?
You may not have to.
Okay. Are we still using the Emancipation Proclamation stamp for settlement on bills? Still use the stamp on all of them we turn over?
When you send them into the bankruptcy court, yeah, I'd say I'm turning this over to the public, to the U.S. trustee for a settlement for this bankruptcy. See if they give you a bankruptcy case number, and then you can always put the bankruptcy case number on that, and then send it to the trustee.
Gotcha. That's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Patrick, I just want to be clear on this. So we're not sending anything else to the Philadelphia or Kansas places?
I would send them out there to them anyway, okay?
Okay.
But you need to go into the bankruptcy court, and that's where really all the action is really going to take place.
Okay.
But you place the other places on notification. And see, this is by an executive branch Emancipation Proclamation. That was an executive order, that Emancipation Proclamation. So therefore, it fits the very last sentence on the fee schedule document in the bankruptcy. And see, when you're complying with an executive order, basically they can't charge you a fee. Okay, anybody else? Okay, good night, Tom.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat.